You are listening to the Black Law Firm Marketing Podcast with your host, Lee Brooks.
Well, hello, Black Law Firm Marketing Podcast family. This is Lee Brooks, your host. I know it's been a while since we did a podcast episode, but my team and I have been really been in the trenches researching, figuring out what topics we should be covering for this year. And we're going to be kickstarting our new season of podcasts by talking about Google ads versus Facebook ads for Black-owned law firms. So, it's January 2024. I know all of you have really good New Year's resolutions. I want to hit these XYZ numbers. I want these, this many leads. Maybe you want to start up a new office. Maybe you want to be able to hire a certain amount of staff. All of us as small business owners, we all have goals that we set in January. As everyone has weight loss goals, I think that makes sense, right? But how many of us actually continue to follow through with our New Year's resolutions? I know I used to work in fitness for many years before I got into this space and started running my own agency. And I know that, people that would go to the gyms and say, December, November, I'm going to get a gym membership. They start in January and a lot of them quit before February. And that's how these gyms make money. They know that's an actual cycle. That is probably like an 80% fall off from all the January memberships by the time to get to February, March. But our businesses are different. We want to have a plan to follow through on our business goals, something strategic. And, as a Black-owned law firm, you're a bit at a disadvantage in your local market. Why? Because, as a Black-owned business owner, as a black business owner, the stigmas of society. We don't have to talk about that. You go through it in your space as a law firm, as a lawyer, as an attorney, and you and I go through it as a marketing agency owner, right? There's a perception that sometimes we as Black people aren't as efficient, aren't as good as our counterparts, right? And that's just a stigma, and we can't fight it. We battle it every single day. Sometimes that can affect your marketing, right? Also, if you have a boutique law firm and it's you, maybe a couple staff, it's hard to compete against larger law firms that have been around longer, that have millions of dollars in ad spend, that might spend $10,000, $15,000 a month on Facebook and Google ads. How do you compete with that? Well, the answer is you absolutely can compete, and you can dominate your local market, regardless of bigger law firms that are spending more money, that are more experienced, that have a longer time being in existence. All the advantages that they have does not limit your ability to still dominate. And that can be done in very simplified 4 ways. You have an optimized website that complies with Google, but also is really nice. It's well branded. It's very interactive, and it's informational, educational, and somewhat entertaining, right? You want your site to invite people back. Even though you might help a client with a particular area in their business, whether it's personal injury, whether it's estate planning, whether it's family law and divorce, regardless, after you help them, you want them to become your brand ambassador, right? You want them to be able to help you market your business, either through Google, a 5-star Google review, or referrals, etc. But also, you want to be able to stay connected with them through email marketing. So you should have a monthly newsletter that goes out. That's one way that you can help to dominate your market, is that your web presence. Another aspect is search engine optimization. So that's basically building your brand awareness on Google through a variety of tactics to help you show up in Google search. So when someone does a Google search, you want your law firm to come up first on the first page of Google for all the keywords that apply to your business. So, how you would know what your keywords should be without getting too technical, look at your business, right? What do you offer? Are you personal injury, estate planning, Are you family law? Are you criminal defense? Are you real estate? Are you commercial? Are you nursing home abuse? Whatever you offer in terms of your solutions, those keywords plus your city should be what you're ranking for. So whatever city, whatever state, whatever province you're in, it should be, state name, personal injury lawyer. Type that into Google. How do you show up? If you're on the 5th or 6th page, you're invisible. Not good. You want to be on the first page. Why? Because statistics say there's basically about 75% of users don't scroll past the first page, which means if you're not on that first page, you're basically invisible. You're not going to get any leads, right? And all the bigger law firms in your space spend lots of money every month making sure they're on that first page, whether they do that through Google Ads, I want to talk about that, or organically through SEO, right? So SEO is the second thing that can really help you dominate your local market and get that lion's share of the leads. The third thing is Google Ads. So we all know Google owns the internet, right? They make billions of dollars a day. Since I started this podcast, we're 6 minutes in, and they probably made like $2-3 billion already. They own the internet. They own, they are the biggest, baddest, strongest, largest, most used search engine, right? So their ad platform, that basically is their main bread and butter. Everything they've created outside of that, the purchase of Android, everything else they have really stems from their Google ad platform. So it behooves you to make sure that you're on their Google ad platform, because when done correctly, it puts your business in front of masses that simply isn't available otherwise. So keyword optimized Google ad campaigns are super important. So what am I saying with Google ads? Well, there's Google search ads, where when you do a search, you see like the first 2 or 3 search results. That's Google search ads. And you have Google display ads, so when you go to certain websites and you see display ads, well, those ads are shown to you based on the keywords that you used, right? It's Google display. There's the Google email ads. So like when you go in your Gmail and you see ads there, right? So those are kind of like text ads, right? You have also YouTube ads. So YouTube is very important, but you need to really know your brand. You need to have some success on Google and even on Facebook to know how well people resonate with your brand, right? YouTube is very, you want to make sure that you have a strong presence, and that, the same ads that work on Facebook is not going to work on YouTube. So you have to be a little bit more engaged, right? You have to show yourself more on YouTube for it to really work well, especially as an attorney, as a law firm. And then you also have Google remarketing, so that when someone comes to your site, there's a little cookie that gets added to them, where once they leave your site, your ads start following them around, right? So if they come on your site once, as they go to other sites, you can plan it for 15 days, 30 days, whatever. As they go around the internet on different websites, your ads are going to be shown to them. So that keeps your brand top of mind, keeps you in front of them. So as they're making decisions on which law firm to go to help them with a particular law matter, they're going to keep you at the front of their mind because your ad continues to follow them, right? So that makes Google ads, that simplifies that process. And the last thing is Facebook ads. So Facebook is probably the second largest, it's not a search engine per se, it's a social platform, but it kind of is, because now, Facebook wants to move toward a YouTube model where they're mostly video content. And we're kind of there now. You see a lot more video. Obviously, Facebook owns Instagram as well. And it owns WhatsApp, right? So Facebook and Instagram are in the same family. Big brother, little sister would be Instagram. Really, it's almost Big Brother 1 and Big Brother 2, because Instagram, people probably use Instagram more than they actually use the Facebook platform. But they're part of the same family, right? Same system. So ads on Facebook is also very important too, but it attracts different people, and the intent is different, and your ability to target using keywords and all that is different. And to be honest, Facebook's constantly changing. It's very, very annoying. I'm going to talk about that too. What has annoyed me from when I started this agency in 2020 to now, Facebook has gone through drastic changes. I want to talk about some of those changes and highlight why for you as a Black-owned law firm owner to know what's better for your specific law practice areas. So Facebook is good for some law practice areas and horrible for others because of how limited they are and how they're constantly changing the rules on Facebook. So I'm going to talk about that. But yeah, those are the 4 ways that you can really help dominate your local market. SEO optimized website, overall SEO, right? The monthly things you're doing to make sure you're ranking on Google ads and Facebook ads. That's basically it. You do well in those 4 things, you're going to drive more business this year than you had any other year. And if you're not doing all those 4 things, guaranteed you're missing out on potential leads, missing out on potentially hundreds and thousands of dollars for your law firm because you're not executing on those 4 areas. All right. So let's first talk about Google. So Google is based on search intent. When you do a search, so someone, let's just say you're a personal injury lawyer, and someone types in personal injury lawyer near me, best personal injury lawyer, whatever the city name, if you're in Florida, Miami, Florida, Miami, personal injury lawyer near me. Google's going to show all the, the Miami, the best rated law firms in Miami close to that particular person. So what's going to come up are first Facebook, Google ads, and some people spent a lot of money. Sometimes law firms are willing to spend upwards to $10, $15, even $20, $30 per click to get to be first place on Google for keywords like personal injury lawyer. So someone does a search, they go to the search query goes up in Google, and they're able to see all these different options. And there's about 11 positions, first page positions, including ads. So maybe the ads will be like the first 2-3 positions, and then you have local. So have local positions. So that's kind of the local search. So that's maybe another 1 or 2 or 3 positions. And then the last 4 or 5 positions are just organic Google. So you want to be either in the ads, which goes up and down because it's a matter of how optimized your ads are and how much you're willing to spend per click, right? Google ads, it is whoever spends the most will win, will have a higher placement. Basically, it's like an auction, right? So everyone's bidding for the same eyeballs, right? So whoever's able to spend the most, but it doesn't necessarily always mean because you have a lesser budget, you're going to lose. No, there's ways to optimize your Google ads to target your specific, all your prospects in a way that you can still dominate in your local market, regardless if you have bigger law firms bidding for the same eyeballs, for the same keywords, for the same people as you, right? But that's something that's going to be for another podcast where we're going to specifically dive into Google ads. So Google ads is important because as people use certain keywords, it's going to bring them to all the law firms that offer the services and solutions that they're looking for, right? So for you, how do you make sure that you are on that first page? Well, you have to make sure, as I said, that your website has the most amount of references that you are a specialist in that particular area. So you want your website to have multiple landing pages that talk about why you are the best Miami lawyer specifically for that prospective client. Now, as a Black-owned law firm, sometimes the Black population want a Black lawyer. I know perhaps for criminal defense, most cases, an African-American man or woman will probably want an African-American lawyer to represent them because of the general stigma and maybe distrust, etc. Possible, or it may not matter, right? Some of our clients want the Black population, so your keyword should be best. So for instance, if you are a Miami personal injury lawyer, your keywords in your ad should be best Black-owned personal injury lawyer, African-American personal injury lawyer. Like, you want to have keywords that pull in the audience that you want. It's a very, very basic example. So on Google, people are searching for you, right? There's clear intent. People are searching for the solutions that you offer through your law firm. So you got to be there. You have to have a presence there, because as they're doing searches, you want to show up in those results. And another podcast, I'll actually show you like statistics. I know right off the bat that there's probably 60,000 to maybe 100,000 searches per month for personal injury lawyer, right? So you want to be part, right? You want to throw your hat in for those, 50 to 100,000 searches. You want to show up for those searches, because that's where the opportunities are. That's where the money is, right? But you need to have multiple references in your website talking about that. You can't have just one small paragraph on your site, right? You have to have multiple pages that talk about personal injury. And that's all part of SEO strategy. And that's something that obviously we do in our law firm that helps our clients achieve first page Google rankings. Shameless plug, right? So through Google search, people are showing up for, the respective keywords. Now, when they visit websites, based on their search intent, a lot of times Google display ads will be shown, right? And if you set up remarketing on your website, once someone comes to your site, a cookie is installed, then that cookie follows them around. So now they're constantly being shown your ads even after they leave your website. So that's important. So that's basically how Google ad works. Now, a lot of times, depending on what you're targeting, Google ads can be expensive, right? Because let's just say if you are a Miami personal injury law firm and, a competitor is willing to spend $10 per click in order to be on the first page for personal injury, that means you would need to be open to spending at least $10.50 or $11 per click in order to show up first place in Google, right? So that's very expensive. And now you're competing against law firms that have, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 budgets, which is great if they could do that, but it's usually not feasible for more boutique law firms. So instead, you want to make sure that you have a strategy where you're targeting keywords that aren't as competitive, right? So you don't want to just target personal injury lawyer. That's too vague. So maybe you want to specifically target the city. Maybe you want, a city within Miami, for instance, more of like whatever the boroughs or the, you want to be more specific. You want to maybe say, black owned law firm, personal injury lawyer near me. You just need to find ways to be a little bit more micro niche. So something in our business that we've established, we've created, it's called our geo targeted micro niche strategy. So all that means is that we want to be able to target specific cities, but also specific locations, right? So we don't want to just, be vague with our approach. We want to make sure that we are targeting specific keywords and specific locations, right? On YouTube, obviously, when someone is coming, based on someone's interest and search intent, right? YouTube ads can be shown, but also based on somebody coming to your website through remarketing, you can send them a YouTube video, right? So they go on your site today, tomorrow, there's a YouTube video that talks about your brand, your website. So now your brand continues to remain top of mind for them, right? And in terms of keywords, you can be very, very specific, right? You can list all the different types of keywords that people would use to search for your respective business. So that's why Google is very important, because it's a really good complement to search engine optimization, and it really does deliver, put your brand in front of people that are looking for your solutions in real time, right? So that's important. So it's about timing, it's about intent when it comes to Google Ads. So Google Ads, super important. but be very strategic in terms of your targeting strategy, your ad copy, and also how important your optimization on your site is. One of the things too, Google will scan your site. And if your ads is saying best Miami personal injury lawyer, but then your site, you don't have enough references. Your site's not optimized to highlight you as an expert in personal injury. Google's going to work against you there. You're going to get what's called a low quality score. So quality score is what Google uses to kind of measure how well a brand, how aligned a brand is with their respective ad, right? The higher the score, the more likely you're going to come first place on Google. And most importantly, the less expensive your ads are actually going to be, because Google rewards you for having a really good optimized website by lowering the cost per click of your respective ads, right? So you get rewarded financially as well for having an optimized site. But the contrary is also true. If your site's not optimized, doesn't matter if you have the best ad copy, the best top #1 agency in the world who creates an amazing ad for you, but if your website doesn't reflect your ad, you're still gonna get creamed in the Google ads in your local market. You're gonna get overwhelmed by other law firms that have their sites more optimized. So if let's just say you're personal injury, criminal defense, and estate planning, you need to have multiple pages that talk about criminal defense. You need to have multiple pages that talk about personal injury. You need to have multiple pages that talk about estate planning, right? And that's what so many black-owned law firms don't realize. You can't just build a website one time. You have to constantly add content every single month. You have to constantly add landing pages specifically targeting the keywords that you want to rank for. Google reads all that, right? So the more optimized you are, the better your Google ads are going to perform. That makes sense? But remember, so Google ads is all about intent. You're getting people who are searching for you, and you're putting your brand message in front of them at the time that they're looking for you. Super important. So let's shift to Facebook ads. So Facebook has changed over the last 3-4 years. I'll tell you one thing. It's becoming very increasingly difficult to target the black population in Facebook. 4 years ago, you were able to target specific nationalities. You're able to specifically target like keywords like African American and such. Those have all been removed, and because of what happened with with the previous election, with the previous, I don't want to get flagged by YouTube. So the previous president ending in ump, right? There was that whole scandal that had to do with that company that was using Facebook to using information that that I don't remember the exact scenario, but there was a situation with a company that was using Facebook information in a negative way, in a deceptive way, that affected the election that had to do with the president ending in ump. So because of that, Facebook, so that they wouldn't get into more trouble, they started to remove a lot of demographic targeting, so that now as an advertiser, as a black-owned law firm, you can't target specifically the black population, which we were able to do better before. Not saying that that's only who you want, right? You may not even want the black population, but I've always told my clients it's good to dominate your cultural market first, right? If you are a personal injury, black-owned personal injury law firm in Miami, why not dominate your market? Be the #1 go-to law firm for the black population, and then expand outward, right? But at least you've dominated a base. And guess what? It's much easier to go after other markets when you dominate your own, especially on Google, right? Hence, if you look up digital marketing for black-owned law firms, I'm going to dominate. I'm going to be first place for everything. For whatever state you're in, whatever province you're in, if you type in digital marketing for black lawyers, black-owned law firms, digital marketing for African-American lawyers, African-American attorneys, I'm going to be first place. Why? Because my entire site specifically focuses on digital marketing for you. Hence the Black Law Firm Marketing Podcast. So it's very important that you're super targeted. Now we have other brands that, if you are a non-black owned law firm, I'm not going to turn you down. I'm not going to say I'm only going to deal, but I don't have so many of those. But I have another brand that takes care of that, right? But dominate your market. Dominate your market and expand outward. That's just my advice. So again, Facebook is becoming very, very difficult to target because they've removed so many targeting features, right? You can't target demographics, and everything's a social matter. So for instance, if you want to talk about, so I have one client, and they have a nonprofit organization. It's called ABEP, the Association of Black Estate Planning Professionals, and they have an event called Bridging the Racial Wealth Gap. Bridging the racial wealth gap. There's nothing that's not a taboo topic. There's nothing socially antagonistic about that. But can I tell you that when we created an ad for them, it got flagged by Facebook. Facebook literally threatened to ban the account from advertising forever because we did an event, and the title of the event was Bridging the Racial Wealth Gap. And it just talked about empowerment for African American professionals, black families, etc. That's all that it was about. But Facebook saw that as a social issue and said, no, we're not going to have it. What is that? You wouldn't have that problem on Google. Google doesn't have those types of restrictions. So Facebook is so very restricted now. For instance, I have a client, and they have a nursing home abuse, right? So that's like personal injury, nursing home abuse. You can't do nursing home abuse. You can't do an ad for nursing home abuse because it's a social issue, and you got to go through like so many hoops. My goodness, you got to go through so many hoops to qualify. You have to like say that you're part of a government organization. What's your nonprofit organization number? Like, they take you through so much that it's not worth it. It's not worth going through that trouble. So there's so many things like that, right? Anything that has to do with, like, if you're like a family and divorce lawyer and you want to have an ad that has to do with like women who are battered, any type of social issue at all. It's not even a social issue. How is bridging the racial wealth gap a social issue? For who? How is there any type of antagonistic? What is antagonistic about that? It's just crazy. And then there's other. I mean, if you want to do anything that's Christian oriented, oh my gosh, they're gonna flag that too, right? Before you were able to target, Christian denominations. You were able to target, like, let's just say you wanted to do a Christian estate planning event. You used to be able to target Christians, Baptists, right? Seventh-day Adventists, whatever. You're able to target people who go to church because that's your population, right? You get in a church, you have access to hundreds and thousands of your prospective clients, right? You got families in there, you got business professionals. You can't do that anymore. You can't target churches anymore. You can't target churches in your area anymore. I'm getting frustrated talking about this because it's just changed so much. It's made it so difficult. Like, it used to be simple before, and there's so many restrictions, and because they're constantly changing the rules, you don't know sometimes. You think you create an ad that's simple and it gets flagged, and then now it takes forever to get it unflagged. It's very tiring. I think you can hear the frustration in my voice with Facebook. With all that said, Facebook is still really great for brand awareness. Why? Because, depending on what your law practice area is, if you have videos especially, you can really test things out, right? You can test your videos out in Facebook before going to Google, right? You can test a lot of things out. You can test how people respond to your micro videos, right? Where you're doing like a 5-minute talk, or your short talks, right? You could boost your posts. You can test out different video content for for a fraction of the cost, right? You can have pay for maybe 10 cents a click to have people look at your videos and based on that, see what the traction is, right? So Facebook is still very good. I still definitely recommend it, even though I spent, 3 or 5 minutes, 7 minutes on a rant bashing them and how frustrated I am with, all the things they've changed over the years. It's still an excellent and very, very important platform because, again, it's not the same in terms of keywords, but there's definitely interest groups. So you can specifically target families in this percent in terms of their income, who have children, who are aged between this and that, who live in these specific locations, and you can pump an ad there and see exactly what that particular market responds to your business. So you could be a lot more geo-targeted in Facebook. You could be a lot more granular, and in a way, although they removed a lot of demographics for some stuff, they've improved when it comes to targeting professionals. So you see how LinkedIn is more of a business social media platform? LinkedIn is very, very expensive, and I'll do another podcast about them eventually. But LinkedIn is super expensive. Like they gotta like smarten up, because it's like way too expensive to advertise on there, and the results aren't, the conversions aren't as good as, let's say, Google or Facebook. So similar to LinkedIn, Facebook now allows you to target professional groups. They didn't do that as well before. So you could target engineers, you could target, law firms and lawyers and chiropractors and dentists and, HVAC and, and financial planners and all that. So you can do that. You couldn't do that before. So there's pros and cons. But Facebook is still good because it's cheaper to advertise on there. I mean, you can literally advertise for $5 a day and still do some damage, right? Still make a killing in terms of driving results for your law firm. But it's really about brand awareness. It's really about getting your brand name in front of people who have the interests, who you don't necessarily know their intent per se. And there's other areas to be more like people that are searching for content like this. But you can match up the people who have an interest or who are looking for a professional like you. You can line them up so you can create demographics, targeting groups, right? You can create audiences that are tailored toward your law firm as well. But in terms of keywords and all that, it doesn't have that capacity like Google has. But it's still very important to have Facebook because you could be more geo-targeted. You could test a lot of things out there. It's more cost effective, and you still get a lot of good brand awareness. So ideally, you want to split your budget. What I do for a lot of our clients is, let's just say they want to spend $500. I say, listen, to start, let's spend $250 on Google, $250 on Facebook, and let's see how people respond. You don't want to start forking $2,000, $3,000 into ad campaign or even $1,000 when you don't know how people respond to your content, specifically in your location, right? What works in one state may not work for another. We have, a lot of clients in Georgia, right? Our estate planning client in Atlanta, those schemes won't necessarily work the same way for our personal injury or our criminal defense or our family and divorce client, right? The same types of videos don't always work. So Facebook allows you to test those things. So you want to always make sure that regardless whether you choose Facebook or Google, have a low budget, test it out, experiment, figure out what works. Then once you know what works, once you know how people respond, then you can increase the budget accordingly to focus on driving better results for your law firm. So if you were to choose which one's better, I'd say they're both great. Do both, right? Because they both they both target people differently, and they both put you in front of your audience. But you don't want to neglect either one. It's better to do both. So I wouldn't say do Facebook or Google. Do both. Split your budget in half. See which one works best, and make the necessary adjustments and changes in order to drive more conversions for your business. So I hope from this podcast you have a better respect for Facebook and Google ads. I hope it makes sense. Again, if you want to learn how to use these tools, use Google and Facebook ads to help drive better results for your law firm this year, you can always book your free strategy call with me, Lee. We'll go through a comprehensive analysis of your website. We'll take a look at everything that you're doing, and we'll be able to put together a comprehensive, tailored game plan to help you attract more local clients, drive more conversions, increase those 5-star Google My Business reviews, and ultimately help you generate more revenue for your business on a monthly basis. So again, hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe, please follow to make sure that you know when the next one is the next episode's coming out. And you can also download this podcast on all major podcast platforms. All right. Until then, please take care, stay blessed, and we'll see you next time.
You are listening to the Black Law Firm Marketing Podcast with your host, Lee Brooks. If you've enjoyed our podcast today, please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and download our podcast from your preferred platform. We'll see you next week.